Opportunity to work, to study, to live, to make friends. Ever since I was small, I wanted to do the things that I was passionate about. I never really thought that I couldn't do things because of my limitations. I was born without arms, but I never saw it as a disability. My name is Zhariff Afandi. I am an entrepreneur, a humanitarian, and an adventurer, and really just a person who's doing the things that he loves. My day job is working for UNICEF Malaysia. A lot of the focus area of my work is on volunteer engagement, which has been a huge kind of passion in my life. We get to do projects and work that hopefully benefits all children in Malaysia. In the work that I've had a lot of ups and downs as well. Every failure actually brings you closer to succeeding and getting to what you're meant to do. I studied psychological sciences at Griffith University. Whether it was the lecturers or the students, I don't think I ever was made to feel any different. And that really enabled me to have the kind of experience I wanted. It gave me the opportunity to work, to study, to live, to make friends, to learn, and to explore. I'm also really very much into music. I'm a rapper. Whatever work that I do, the thing that gives me most meaning is actually feeling useful to the world around me. For me, it's really important that we all take care of each other. And so right now, I think one of my biggest passions really is doing things for the community. I'm very blessed to continue to do that.
All right, we're good? I think we are. Hello there, Rotary. How's everybody doing? Is there an introduction first? No?
Yes, you can.
Okay, so we are good to go, are we? All right, okay, I hope everyone is doing well. How many people do we have joining in today, by the way?
We have got close to 200 in Zoom, and then live we have got another 300 or so.
Very cool. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me over here. I am from Pulau Kapas. I hope the reception is all right. Let me just see if I can just make the reception a little bit better by turning off my computer Wi-Fi. Okay, so is it clear? Is my voice clear before we start the session today?
Loud and clear, Zhariff.
Loud and clear. And the video is good?
Yes, handsome as always.
All right, thank you very much, Rodri, for inviting me. I believe that I was told that today is a session with your president-elects, I think, of all the different states. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
All right, it's a pleasure to meet everyone and a big honor to be here. And likewise, I think it's an important thing that you guys are doing. First things first, I just wanted to share how much of a fan I am of the Rotary Club and the great, amazing work that you do with the community. So my name is Zhariff Afandi. As the video introduced, I am a community advocate. I am an adventurer, a motivational speaker, a published author, a community development consultant. Essentially, I am the person who I hope to be the best that I am. For me, it's very simple. Ever since I was small, I believed that I could be anything I wanted, actually. I really believe that I could do the best that I can. So I would like to start today's session by giving you a little bit. I believe I've got about half an hour with you. So I'll start with introducing myself and going to the topic of adaptability, right? So of course, when people think about adaptability, as you look at me, I was born without arms, and hence I've had to adapt all my life to a world that was, I guess, developed for people with arms. Essentially everything from your car to your houses, right? Your switches, to your computers, to your cell phones, everything in life, essentially, it's more developed for people with arms, basically, right? So I've had to adapt since very little. I was born like this from a young age. I am 31 right now. No, what do you mean 31? I'm 40 right now. And ever since I was small, I had to deal with not having arms. But to me, that was fine. I had an amazing life. My parents, I was very lucky to be born into a family that was very enabling. I had a parents that were very loving as well. And then I went on to study in school. I was in a normal school. I think my parents always believed that um, I could cope with things like everyone else. They had that belief in me, and so I went to a normal school like everyone else, and then I went to university. Right, I studied. First, I studied law actually in UITM, and then I went to Griffith University to study psychology. There is a backstory behind why I took psychology actually. Um, I think for me, back in college, I was actually studying in KDU for a while first. And in 2004, the tsunami happened. If you remember, if any of you remember, back in 2004 during Boxing Day, there was a huge tsunami in Aceh, Indonesia, and also in Sri Lanka as well on the Indian Ocean, right? And I actually went and volunteered there for 9 months actually. So I went there, I volunteered. Yes. Okay, so this is all these messages coming in, which is confusing a bit. That's okay. So anyway, I went to volunteer at that time. I was still very young. I was only in college, right? And that gave me, I guess that gave me my life purpose. That experience volunteering, that was my first volunteering experience in an international context. And it was full on. I thought I would only be there for 2 weeks actually, but I ended up being there for 9 months. And I found that I could do a lot there, right? I found myself there, I found my purpose. And then after 9 months, I had to go back home and then I continued my studies. And that is when it became clear that I wanted to study psychology. So I went to university, studied psychology, right? And then after that, I went to Australia actually, and did that all that myself actually. I went to Australia. I packed my bags and spent 3 years there, living all independently. And then I got back to Malaysia, and then I started working. Actually, it's funny when I first got back to Malaysia, it was a bit of an odd thing because I thought that I would be able to get a job immediately, right? But it took me almost 8 months before I found a job, right? And then when I did find a job, right, it was with the Breast Cancer Foundation, and then I built my career in community work as well. After I worked at the Breast Cancer Foundation, I actually ran a horse riding venture actually for kids at Denai Alam. Because I've actually been riding horses as well since I was 8 years old. And then I went on and worked, um, uh, had my own company eventually, right? And then a lot of things happened in between. And now I work with UNICEF Malaysia. I'm a published author, right? I wrote a book, and my line of work, basically my main focus of work, or main passion, I guess, is about how can I play a role in developing myself. But now that I've understood and learned about mental health, about personal development, my main passion is of course about how can I help others reach their potential. So that's pretty much one of my main focuses right now, and the things that I do, right? Um, so anyway, the focus today is all about adaptability, I believe. And as you can see, my life is all about being, all about adapting, essentially. Oh, thank you. Hats off. Oh, no. But anyway, so I've had to adapt in almost every situation of my life. When I was in primary school, when I first registered in school, it was a normal school, and actually I got rejected into the school. but I didn't allow the headmaster to just, to reject my application. I actually went and spoke to the headmaster, the principal. I was very little. I was probably 6 years old, and I asked my mom, "Can I speak to the principal?" I went and spoke to him, and then there you go. I got to go into school, and in school I had to adapt because the school environment, normal school, the tables and all that. But I still adapted. I think the principal was concerned, how am I going to write, or how am I going to adapt to the furniture. And at the end, we just made our own furniture. I made my own little table as well, right? And then we were concerned about how I adapt going to the bathroom and going to the toilet, right? At that time I was very young, and then my mom hired the cleaner lady of the toilet to help me out if I needed help. And then later on, my friends helped me as well. And eventually, I figured out how to do most of the things myself as well. Right. And so in life, essentially, it's all about adapting. I mean, that's just one small instance of me as a child growing up and adapting. And likewise, I think growing up, I really believed, and I was given the belief that I could do just as well as everyone else. However, I was also I guess my parents also taught me that I also had to work extra hard, right? And that was fine because I don't have arms, and so I have to maybe give 110% to get the 100% that everyone gets. And so to me, I just kept on doing that regardless of what people believed I could or could not do. When I was 13, I got my first scuba diving license. And again, people were wondering, how can I cope? And I did very well as well. As I said earlier, I went and I learned horse riding when I was 8 years old. Again, I had to figure out, how do I do that, right? And so I guess when we talk about adaptability, it's really about, everyone has a way of doing their thing. Actually, everyone can do whatever it is that their mind sets, even though they might be limited to a certain degree. The limitations could be physical. Like for me, my limitations is I don't have arms. Some limitations might be mental, right? Some limitations might be financial. Some limitations might be emotional. But the point is that we all have limitations, but we are able to overcome them, essentially, if we have the right mindset and if we have the right kind of preparation of the self to be able to adapt in any kind of situation, right? When I went to Indonesia, this was a place that was, when I was in Aceh, this was a place that was devastated with destruction after the tsunami, right? And I just went there with 3 friends, right? And I had to adapt, right? This was in a situation where it was extreme, ground zero. Likewise, similarly, when I went to school, I needed to adapt. When I wanted to go scuba diving, I needed to adapt. And that has served very well, I think, all the way to adulthood, essentially, that adaptability, right? So I guess a lot of people wonder, how do I adapt, right? How do I keep my mind focused on being able to overcome the limitations and essentially live a life that is full, right? I'm not allowing anything to stop you. Um, I think the main thing is all about preparing yourself. Being a good human being isn't just about lying down and just magically things happen to you. I really sincerely believe that if you want the right things to happen to you, you need to do the right things. If you want the right things to occur in your life, if you want to live the way that you want, then you've got to do the right things, right? And what are those right things? What are those necessary things? So for me, I've pretty much spent my entire journey of life trying to understand this, trying to understand what makes us be able to be the best person that we can, what makes us able to do great, right? What makes us able to not be limited by where we're at. And amazingly, so the journey started by learning about psychology. I learned that We have our cognition, we have our emotions, right? We have our thought processes, right? And so it's actually very useful to understand how we work. I think that was a very, very important part in the growing process for me. For me, even when I was younger, from high school, in fact, I had an insatiable thirst to understand why I was the way I am and how can I overcome and be the best person that I can, right? And how good morning, Dr. Thong. And so that was something that I've tried to be all my life, and I've tried to learn this and not just assume things. So I picked up from a very young age reading psychology books from Jung, from Adler, from Freud, right? And then that really cultivated my interest in learning about other things as well, like spirituality, like uh, uh, um, the self as well. And so I went to university and studied all that. I studied psychology, and it really did help. However, as I became an adult, I needed to readapt as well, because adulthood is another new phase of life. And I think most of you who are president-elects right now, or president, are you president or president-elect, by the way? Can anyone answer? I'm a little bit, or is there a difference?
Incoming president.
Incoming president. Okay, thank you for that answer. So all, and are you all pretty much young youths, right? Am I right? In the age group of youths?
Definitely young.
Definitely, absolutely. And so, thank you. I like this little bit of interaction. Sometimes it's weird doing things online, to be honest with you, because sometimes I feel like, am I talking to myself? But but anyway, yeah. So coming from an age, so I had to learn as I became an adult that we had to adapt to adult things, because in your formative years, when you're a teenager, when you're a child, when you're a teenager, you still have the comforts and care of your parents, right? And parents play, and just by the way, I hope I'm not regressing too much, but parents play an extremely important role in our lives. I myself am a parent right now as well. I have a 8-year-old daughter. And likewise, my parents played an extremely important role in my development as well. And so for you there who either are parents or have parents still, right? Um, the new young is less than 60. Bindi here. Ah, yes. Well, anyway, whatever the young or old is, that is just a number, right? But the point is, as you become an adult, you realize that um, it's a whole new ball game, right? In the beginning, when you're studying, right, you've got to pass exams, you're learning about yourself, you're learning about the world, you've got your self identity to explore. You still have the novelty of youth, right? And really, in that stage, I remember that one of the most important things in that stage was to just give things a go. I remembered when I was in college, in high school, I wanted to give everything a go. I wanted to try different foods, different sports, different experiences, different places, different events, different people. I was just, we just had an insatiable thirst to want to experience different things. And this is where I think it comes, one of the most important lessons in adaptability, I guess, is courage, right? You can't do things if you are always scared. If everything you see gives you fear and stops you from doing, then that actually hinders you from the learning process and the ability for you to be more adapted in any situation. And so I guess one of the things that I can share in my growing up process is that I tried to do so many things. I wanted to experience different things. I joined NGOs. I went on volunteer expeditions. I joined sports events. I tried out just different things, right? Outdoors, indoors, in the sky, in the water, right? In the country, out of the country. And so I guess now that you are doing what you're doing, right? I think it's important for you to just continue that journey. So don't be afraid. I think if you can have courage, first things first, and if you can develop that courage within, that will help you definitely um, adapt, right? Um, I like the little chats that are happening. So anyway, as I started to become an adult, right? I think one of the key things that I think was most profound, to be honest with you, is that there will always be suffering. I went through so many different failures, so many different heartaches, so many different losses in my life as well. It was not all victorious. It was not all success. I had periods where I failed. I had projects and ideas that I did that did not end up going as well. I had businesses that I established that went bust as well. I had relationships that I hoped would be lasting that didn't as well. I had people that I loved very dearly that died as well. And so, one of the key things that I realized once you went through the whole youth um, phase of development and understanding yourself and formative years, you start realizing that you will always experience suffering. And this comes from an early age. This can come from your teenagers. This can come, but it becomes, I believe, much more profound as you become an adult, right? In adulthood, you will start facing a whole different ball game of experiences and challenges that you have to adapt to, right? There is, of course, your profession one day after this when you finish college and university, and you go out to the real world, right? And then there are also social and relationship challenges that you go through as well. And there are financial environments that you have to maneuver as well. And at that time, you're an adult. And so the only person that is responsible for you is you, right? And you realize that after you become an adult, and the novelty of being a child or being even a youth under the care of a parent transforms and changes. And so I realized that in many cases, both on a personal experience as well as my professional experience, consulting, advising, counseling different people and organizations, I realized that this is where that big test comes in, right? Adulthood, when you become an adult, right? It's you go through, yes, exactly, courage. So when you go through adulthood, you realize that, oh my God, right? Life isn't easy. I need to pay bills. I have responsibilities that are starting to accumulate as well, right? I am no more a child to be taken care of, but now I am an adult that needs to care for myself and the world, right? And so um, I think one of the most profound things that I learned in this process, right, was that we need to embrace suffering. There is a need to be able to embrace all things, whether we consider the things good, whether we consider the things bad, right? Who knows? The one of my favorite stories actually is about the story on good thing, bad thing, who knows, right? Really cool, simple story. There's an old man living in a village, and he has a son, and he lives with his two horses, right? And one day, his two horses run away, right? And the villagers, the way villagers do, they borak borak, right? And they go, "Oh, really? So sad that you lost your horses. Such an unfortunate thing." And the old man went, "Well, I lost the two horses. Good thing, bad thing, who knows, right?" And the thing is, a week later, the two horses come back with a group of horses. They made friends, and then it came back with like 10 horses. And suddenly all the villagers are like, wow, you're so lucky. Now you have 10 horses. Your horses actually brought back a bunch of wild horses. And the old man was like, well, good thing, bad thing, who knows? And then next week, well, being in a village, right, there was a civil war that happened, and all the young men of the village, no, not yet, sorry. Then the next week, what happened is the son was taking care of the horses, right? And then suddenly one of the horses kicked the son's leg, and the son broke his leg, and so he became a cripple. And so the villagers came and said, "Oh, poor your son broke his leg. That must be so unfortunate." And the old man then said, "Well, good thing, bad thing, who knows, right?" Then next week there was a war, a civil war between the different villages, and all the young men had to be listed into the army, right? Except for his son. And sadly enough, after that battle, I think three-quarter of the sons or all the sons died, and only his son was left in the village alive. So the man was like, well, good thing, bad thing, who knows, right? So that's one of the most, to me, I don't know whether that story made sense to you, but for me, it made total sense, because at the end of the day, whether something is bad or something is good, you never know, right? And so one of the most important things that I learned that helped me adapt and not make me so frantic every time, or not make me feel like I lose my mind when I'm in a so-called situation. Yes, there is a beeping sound. That is cicadas, by the way, if you hear. That is the sound of nature. Um, I hope it's not too bugging. Anyway, no puns intended. Um, and so, yeah, essentially, we go through things. As I said, we go through defeats, we go through losses, we go through failures, we go through death, we go through sickness, we go through breakups, we go through divorces, we go through lawsuits. There's just so many different things that happen in life. And at the end of the day, we go through war, we go through just so many things. And if everything bothered us, then we won't be able to live, essentially. If anything, not everything, if anything out there, right? Yes, sounds of nature is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely. Um, and so, yeah, so for me, I guess, not going too much about this, but I really believe that we need to embrace suffering in that sense, in the sense that things will happen and we need to embrace life the way they are. So that's one of the most important things that I learned in adulthood. Um, so as you start realizing that, does it mean that it's scary that, oh my God, if suffering is inevitable, what do we do? Right? Do we stay home? Do we not try things? Do we not fail? If we don't try, do we not fail? Is that the solution? I don't think so, actually, because as I said earlier, ever since I was a young child, I just wanted to give a go at everything. And so one of the other things that I learned, even in adulthood, I guess, was to never be afraid to give things a go. Right? So just give things a go. At the end of the day, you never know whether you fail or you succeed. This is where, whether it's a good thing or not, you don't know, right? What you can know on this is what you can learn, right? What you do know is that you have experienced whatever that experience is. And that essentially, like anything, gives you a layer of substance, right? Like all things, time, place, right? When you do something, it develops a layer of substance in ourselves, right? And so as it is, right, as we start realizing that learning is an ongoing kind of thing, so we learn to experience, right? And so that's one of the most important things, I think, is to not be able to be afraid, embrace the suffering, because suffering will happen, but it's really about how you look at yourself. And so when we think about adaptability, it's like imagining whatever situation you are or in or at, right? If you are well equipped in your mind, if you're well equipped in your body, if you're well equipped with your soul, it doesn't matter which situation that you're at. You will have enough roots to understand what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad for yourself. But you wouldn't know this if you didn't give life a try. You would not know this if you did not go through the learning processes of life,
Zhariff,
right? And that learning, yes,
we have got about 2 minutes, and I have got this question. Maybe you would want to answer this question. The question is,
please.
can you please share how you manage family with time spent outside doing good to the world? Can you
How
share
do you
your?
manage family while doing good outside in the world? Is it?
That's right. So, like, how do you like strike a balance?
Understand. Good question. Thank you. Um, for me, I believe that balance comes with understanding the different elements of yourself and also acknowledging that you're not one-dimensional. I think for me, it's not about wearing many hats or anything like that, but it's about understanding that you play different roles in life, right? I am a son, but I am also a father, right? I am so yeah, so we play different roles in life, in profession as well. I am a consultant, but I am also a coolie, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so at the end of the day, I think it's about understanding the different dynamics that we have in life and not being consumed by one thing, not being consumed only with like one element of your life. So in this way, for instance, um, maybe time management could be an essential thing in this situation. I mean, it is an essential thing in any situation anyway, right? But managing your time in what, understanding what are you passionate about, what do you love, what brings you money, what brings you happiness, what bring and if you can understand the different dynamics of your life and embrace the different dynamics, then you give the necessary time needed, right? Likewise, you could also encourage your family members to join you for your charity activities. However, I've learned that um, you can share, you can also encourage, right? But at the same time, you need to also acknowledge that different people in your lives might have different interests as well. And these are people that you maybe care for truly as well, and they might have different interests as well. And so you then, understand that, okay, as I said, it goes back to understanding that we are not one dimensional, understanding that we have different parts in our lives to play, to do. And I think that helps. That gives you a perspective. There's something called ikigai that I always share and I always advocate for, which means life purpose. And in the ikigai spectrum, you break it down to four things: the things that you love, could be family, could be a passion, the things that give you meaning, um, could be a charity work, right? The things that pay you, right? This could be your job, right? And the things that love, meaning, pay, and things that you're good at, a skill. We all develop skills and interests. And so if we can understand the four spectrums of our lives, then we can, then hopefully for us, the key here is the balance. Sometimes we neglect our family because we want to do so much charity work. Sometimes we neglect our passions because we want to make so much money, and so we just focus on working. And so so when with that over skewed in one dimension, then you become unbalanced.
Zarif,
So
that
I
is
hope that helps.
really inspiring. Zarif, once again, thank you so much. I like your background with birds chirping and also green, fresh air. Yeah. So, Zarif, no one else could have explained adaptability the way you did. Once again, Zarif, thank you so much. It made so much
Thank you.
sense It made so much sense, ladies and gentlemen. And one question that I have is, if he can do it, what about us?
Is there any questions from the floor that I can answer as well, or is there anything that does the floor have any questions?
Uh, so far, we don't have any question, but
Great.
obviously, you have touched on a lot of areas which I think will be very helpful for the incoming presidents. So again, thank you
I
so much,
hope so
Zhariff.
too. Okay, lastly, I just wanted to say a big thank you for inviting me for this session. I've had a few very memorable experiences with the Rotary Club previously as well. It's a bit unfortunate that we cannot meet in person. However, I hope to be able to see all of you very soon as well. And likewise, I just wanted to also connect with you. Please do connect with me as well. I have my Instagram page as well, or Facebook, Zhariff Afandi. I'm happy to connect and answer anything of your inquiries. And likewise, if you would like to find my book, it is available at MPH or MPH Online, right? It's called SOS, Surfing Out Stuff. As you can see, I am very much into the beach. One of my passions is water. And so I hope that we can connect. I hope that you have benefited from this or felt like you've brought something positive from my session. And again, thanks a lot, Nate.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Benefited? Definitely. Thank you so much, Zarif. We have got lots of audiences in the studio, and I think you can hear them clapping hands. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, really inspiring. And yes, we will definitely catch up. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Zarif
Very
Afandi,
cool.
you know the IG, SOS is his book. So go get it, read, and be inspired. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Have a
Thank
good
you.
Sunday and enjoy the rest of the session.
You too, my friend. Thank you.